Yeah. That's
Coaster.
a coaster?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I got all types of coasters like that. Michael Jackson, Iverson, Jimmy Rollins, Jay-Z.
All from like the same company, or you just find them?
It's a
Okay.
guy it's a street vendor that goes to a lot of Philly festivals.
Nice.
And he sells all different, Marilyn Monroe and, whatever. Obama.
Yeah. You definitely have an Obama one, don't you?
Yeah. I don't.
No? Oh,
I got a Dr. J, a Charles
There you go.
Barkley,
Classic.
Whitney
Nice.
Houston.
Yep. Hell yeah.
So I don't know. I should have checked where we left off.
Yeah, we could just start over because I don't know. That was like a ramble fest. We had no direction there.
Well, we were talking about. I remember like how it kind of started, and I think we ended with you being in Catholic school. But
oh yeah, you did. You made a point about you wanted to hear more about the transition from Wissahickon or something, right? Is that what we said we wanted?
Yeah, but I was before we connected, I was thinking about what I didn't really talk about, and I think this is like on a way of thinking that I know you already because I think I know you.
Mm-hmm.
That I didn't ask, like, what were you into as when you were growing up as a kid?
Yeah, good question. Are we starting?
Yeah, we're in it. We're doing it again.
All right.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers. Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, as a kid, I mean, always football. I mean, that's all my dad. Football and reggae. My dad always had this funny quote. If someone was like, "Yo, George, did you see this movie?" He goes, "Was it on ESPN?" And they're like, "What? No." And he goes, "Well, then I didn't see it." So that type of thing. So, it was always sports. Playing football, baseball, basketball. So I remember you did ask the question, when I was younger, elementary school at a Catholic school, if I was aware of, there being a public school system around with kids. And yes, I was because of sports. So I always played basketball with like Josh Thompson, Earl Stout, all those guys. My brother and I would, play on the same team as them. And then, remember like Mike Mason, we would actually like hang out with him.
White Mike.
Crash at his house. Yeah. Order Domino's and crash at his house. Watch like stupid HBO movies late night. All kinds of crap. He lived on Spring Garden Street right there.
Yeah. I remember him. Yeah, I played baseball with him. I remember him from Madison. When you hear about Catholic school, you're the first person, I guess, that I can think of that we talked to that came from there. You hear like all the rumors, like they smack your hand with the ruler. You have to write with your non-dominant hand, right? You have to like. Did any of that stuff? Was any of that going on? the mean
I think when my mom went there, some of that stuff happened. I think she said the music teacher like shut the piano door on her hands because she kept messing up whatever song that she was supposed to learn or something. But no, even when what would it have been? I don't know, 1990 to 1998. Right? Yeah, first through eighth grade, or 97 maybe.
Yeah,
89 to 97. Yeah. So, I actually only ever had like one or two teachers that were nuns. They were, just regular elementary school teachers and stuff.
Okay.
So
not all
kind of normal in that sense, I guess.
Not all. It's hyped up to be in the movies or on TV.
No, yeah, you didn't get that like parochial discipline or whatever you would call it. I don't even know.
As far as like who you were, I mean, we talked about like, the people that went there, but did you have like a core group of friends?
Oh wow, at Ambler Catholic.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Billy Chivarelli, Kevin McCarthy, Paul Gallardi, and then Dan Frick. He came, I think, 4th or 5th grade, because he was at Sandy Run Middle School, Upper Dublin School District.
Okay.
Then he ended up going back to Upper Dublin for high school.
Was it easy for you to like make friends or keep friends like throughout middle school? I asked that because our middle school at Wissahickon pods, and so like a lot of us talk about like if you struggled to make friends every year, you had to start over.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, because I was with the same I don't know,
Same.
like 8 to 12 people. It'll fluctuate a little bit. And I think by the time we were in 8th grade, it was only, I mean, like, I think only 8 of us actually, or 10 of us.
Wow.
Yeah, it was small. So,
It's so small.
but outside of school, summertime and everything, I always hung out with my brother and Joey Bach, who were 2 grades below. And then we would, I don't know, you'd run into anybody like down like the other side of Butler Pike or whatever. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I know. I don't know. I remember like hanging out with Ryan Hassan.
Yeah, I don't even know
Yeah.
these names. We were plugged into such different parts of Ambler.
Yeah, I got around. We would just ride our bikes. We would go fishing at the reservoir, just take off and go fishing all day, and then hit up Knights Park, Pickering Field, like whoever's playing basketball, like try to jump in and play. At regular like adolescent boy shit, like throw rocks at people's houses, whatnot, anything.
Middle school for us is when, like, it was Wissahickon is when I kind of talk about like feeling so out of speed with what was going on with the other kids as far as like partying and girls or boys and drugs. And what was it like in it's Catholic school, but is it
exactly the same? Yeah, even throughout high school, I was like you. I didn't drink. I don't know. I had no like neither want to either. Was never invited to the parties. Never dated.
But even before that, in Ambler Catholic, and you're like 14, 13, and it's only like 8 of you or 7 of you or whatever, like, but is there like is there like a party life from school?
Not at all. No. Like I would, for the most part, I would hang out with, it would just be like me and Dan Frick and Billy Chivarelli. We either just chill at someone's house. That was about it on the weekends. A lot of times, like Friday nights or Saturday nights, sleep over at Paul Gallardi's house. He had a nice finished basement, and we'd watch movies, wrestling, play Madden or Tecmo Bowl, depending on what year we were, what video game was hot.
Yeah.
And that was it. And I always remember being fascinated with Paul's father's train collection. He had this nice model train set up in the basement, and I would kind of pay attention to that for a little bit. If like I was waiting to play like winter on Madden or something.
Yeah, I got next.
But it was simple life. Rode bikes, played like who knows 2-on-2 football, just tackled each other in the mud. With all kinds of age groups, like ranging from my brother's grade or even my cousin Johnny, who's 3 years younger. Like we'd play football with Eddie Winhouse, Tommy Pepfel, Jimmy Fenor, Joey Bach, Phil, my brother, because like we all intermingled because of me and Phil being brothers, and then living with our cousins Johnny and Joanna. So you're kind of like intermixed in the age group there. So you had a span of 4 years.
So it's funny, like, whereas I kind of would look off, and even other people have been guests and talked about, you kind of look off at like the cool kid crowd. That didn't exist for you at all, like in middle school, just because it was so small. You didn't, you weren't looking
room for clicks. No room for clicks.
Yeah, like no one's coming in Monday morning talking about this person got all fucked up or this person cheated on that.
That'd be awesome. Show up to 7th grade Catholic school hungover as fuck. I go back now. I'd love to show up like Shroomin or something. That'd be fucking awesome. Fucking dip your hand in holy water and watch it like drip off. Yeah, right. But none of that. But I was always around beer. My dad drank. My uncles, even my grandmother. But it's like, maybe it was because my dad's like, here, you want to try a sip? And I tried a sip and didn't like it. Like it just, maybe that was like a good mode of parenting then. I don't know.
It's not a big deal. It wasn't.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, there's no. It wasn't taboo, I guess.
Yeah.
Say it or put it, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're when you're going to go to the high school, do you understand what that is at 14, 15, where we're about the same age, right? We're like a couple weeks apart.
Yeah, right. Yep.
Do you understand at that point, okay, now we're going to this new school?
Oh, I knew. Yeah, I was scared to death too, but also excited in a way because I always knew like the football tradition. We would go to the bonfires and stuff like that. Remember they used to have the bonfire
I
or
never went.
what they? I guess it was like a pep rally thing.
Was that like for homecoming?
It may have been that, but I didn't know then, possibly. And then always, the Thanksgiving game was always a great thing too.
That came from your dad?
Yeah, yeah. He actually played his freshman year. He played football, but then he broke his leg or something happened to his knee or whatever. I think they were playing White Marsh, and I believe the legend goes that I guess he was tackled by I think it's Marvis Frazier, which is Joe Frazier's son.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I don't know how, this could be one of those like legends or something.
Yeah, yeah. No, that sounds good. Why would
Yeah, yeah.
if you're gonna lie, you say it's
Yeah.
Joe Frazier.
I know. Which my dad was, never really a liar, so I'm pretty sure it told true.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I was always, there was always this hype about Wissahickon. And I think, initially my parents may have wanted to send me to Lansdale Catholic, and I may have, fought them tooth and nail on it, and then ended up going to Wissahickon because I was playing football at the time, but I was so small. My dream was to actually play high school football, but entering freshman year, 5'1", 105 pounds, soaking wet, not gonna get too far because there's some big boys, we were going around, like even like Rick Smith and like Corliss, like those guys were huge compared to me.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you experience like bullying at all? This Ambler Catholic small. So, but like, did you experience any bullying in the school or like playing sports? You mentioned like you played basketball with people who went to Wissahickon, but just in general around town, like, is that something that you had that fear going into Wissahickon, but prior to that, had that ever been like a thing for you? Because, for me, going through school, I dealt with, on both ends of it. So did you escape that?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I was really like bullied. I mean, we always had, because we were such a small group at Amber Catholic, we were all friends. I mean, if any of us saw each other now, it's like the most exciting thing ever. But then you're just kids stuck in a circle, 10 people. There's like tension and stuff every once in a while, but nothing major or crazy that ever lasted long. Yeah, and then in high school, never from the upperclassmen or art class, because maybe through sports or whatever, even though I didn't play in high school, just from intramural, like as a kid. And like I said, I played for North Penn Squire, so I knew Joe Bombertito, who was 2 years ahead of us.
Yeah, I think so.
But things like that. So you always had like those guys, and then once they like greet you in the hallway or something, people are like, "Oh yeah, that kid's all right." Like nobody really messes with you, I guess. But it wasn't until we were like in 11th grade or something, I guess like the incoming classes, there was a couple of big cats, and I remember they must have thought I was a freshman on freshman day, and the one dude like grabbed my school bag and like threw me into the locker. I think I retaliated real quickly, and I don't know if it was Mr. Mad or somebody, but they like disciplined me more than the other guy. I was like, what the fuck? Like, I didn't do anything. That's pretty much like the story of my life, though. It's always, you're the one, once you retaliate, you
get in trouble. That was always my thing growing up. Like prior to getting to high school, I would always retaliate because I thought I was sneaky, and then I would be louder and get caught, and then no one saw what had been done or said, or heard what had been said to me that set me off. But and then you get that talking to. You can't let what other people do affect you.
Yeah, but it did. So it's like whatever. Yeah, I don't know. It's school's weird, but yeah, I just kind of coasted through it. Maybe like scholastically and physically. I didn't want to be there. I tried to occupy as the least amount of space as possible.
At Wissahickon?
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to fly under the, just be me, like hang out with you guys or whatever we used to do and whatnot.
When you got to the high school, was it instant like? So now you're split up all over, but do you instantly have like friendly relation? I mean, I know it's friendly, but do you have like social relationships with those same kids, those 7 kids in high school, or are you now searching all over again for groups of friends or a friend here or there from class to class?
Wow. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I still remember just seeing, like Maria, Danielle, and Kevin, Paul, and everyone that transferred to Wissahickon who didn't go to Lansdale Catholic or another school or something. But and then Tony Antonucci, I remember
Mhm.
me and him had agreed to like walk in together first day of class because we didn't know what the hell to expect, right? So, and both of us probably knew we weren't like anywhere near being cool or anything like that. So, even though we probably were, but we just didn't have that.
What was your expectation? Did you have any expectations of Wissahickon? Like when you say you knew that you weren't cool, were you kind of like are walking into like this, you know, Amma talked about when he came to America and came, it was kind of like a TV show. And other people
Yeah,
like talk about like that idea of what they're when they would look out into what Wissahickon was, as far as like the stereotype. Or did you have any preconceived notions about all of us coming from middle school? You knew you did know a lot of the people, so were you kind of like, oh, we're going with these people, and this is kind of shit that they get into, and I heard this about this. Like, did you have ideas like that?
nah, not like that. But I think similar to you, watching Saved by the Bell and stuff, I kind of thought it would look and feel like that, which maybe it does in a way. I don't remember enough of it to actually think to relate it that way anymore. Um,
Never
yeah,
for me. It looked like that from afar for me.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I would try to replicate, but like, where it looks like for me when I watch Superbad,
Oh,
and those kids are hanging like in the beginning, and they're hanging in the basement. They might be playing poker or something.
yeah,
That reminds me of like the type of shit that like when we'd go play pool, and it would just
right.
like no girls in sight, just bullshitting, and the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the funniest guys in the room.
Oh my god, that movie's awesome. What the hell is his name? Who's the guy who got the driver's license from Hawaii?
McLovin.
McLove. McLove.
So I don't know, just in general, your freshman year, what did that feel like, that whole transition?
Don't know. I really, like I said, I think I just
Under
like
the radar.
psychologically blocked it out because I really didn't want to be there. Except for I was excited about the opportunity to take the focus on art because that did not exist at Catholic school. I think I don't know if there was like a new parent orientation. I remember my parents going to something at Wissahickon at night after class or whatever. They met with like Mr. Dixon who taught industrial arts or whatever. I don't know what the class was called then, but that kind of thing. And like him, getting them all excited about the opportunities of like, you can be a graphic designer, industrial designer, do this, do that. If you learn CAD, I took all the CAD classes there, and I think that's like what I looked forward to the most. And that was definitely, a bonus. Other than the fact that I just, like I said, just wasn't, I don't know, just I was so shy maybe or timid that I just didn't allow myself to like reach out as much or something. I don't know how to explain it.
Did you have a favorite art teacher or art class or art like? I'm
Yeah.
assuming they weren't all the same, right? Like you took a lot of different types of art, but did you have one that stood out to you that was your favorite?
Well, I definitely recall when David Miller came in. I don't know if it was our sophomore or junior year. But he was awesome. He was from Texas. I think he did a lot of what do they call that? Like he did a lot of like college advisory stuff and art programs, and then I guess came to this area and then taught high school art. I would still consider him one of my mentors, even though I've traveled all the way through like the ranks of being educated in art. Now still the one that actually like made it feel like there's this possibility or opportunity to make a career in the arts.
What kind of art did he teach?
Oh, he had all like the fundamentals, like drawing, painting. He's like one of the ones that really pushes his students to have a sketchbook and utilize that as a tool
Were
on
you
a daily basis.
were you always into art?
Yeah. Oh yeah. yeah, I mean, ever since I could hold a pencil, I guess I was drawing. And then, yeah, all through even Catholic school, or even though they didn't have an art program, I was the one that everyone's like, oh, like would catch me just doodling or drawing and be like, oh, wow, you drew like Kevin Garnett, looks awesome. Or
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
and, I drew Scott Bagwell or Buff Bagwell.
Bagwell, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say Scott Hall, but
So
Buff
was
Bagwell,
it?
that's what it was.
So at that point, was it just like drawing before you got to Wissahickon? You were just like into drawing stuff.
Yeah, just like when I was bored sitting at home on a rainy day, if I wasn't outside playing, I just rummaged through page after page, just drawing. And I remember being like real, like finicky and never wanting to use the eraser. So if I would mess up, I would just crumble the paper up, throw it away, and try it again. That kind of thing. Wasted so much paper, but I think my grandfather would just grab stacks of like old computer, like print. Remember the printout? They had the perforated edges with the holes. Like he just had bundles of that, and I would just,
When you got to Wissahickon, did it progress into anything, into a specific type that you really dug, or you thought you were getting really good at?
I did, like a lot of no. I think I stayed mostly with drawing. I guess whatever supplies they had in house, we would use for whatever class or project the teacher was kind of presenting us with, or exercise rather than project. I think I still have some of them at my mom's house.
Oh, nice.
I think I left them there, and then Mr. Miller ended up giving them to my brother to take something. It's funny, and I was like, oh well, forgot about that. But yeah, I didn't take like oil painting or anything like that. I'm not even sure that it was offered. There was ceramics, which I didn't take, which is what I eventually like kind of migrated towards.
Well, I guess that's what I was wondering. Did you like, were you taking any specific classes? Like, were you targeting saying, oh, I want to take this or I want to take that, or like what, because it's not just art, right? The class isn't just art once you're in high school, right? Like,
right. Yeah, there's definitely a focus or a discipline tied to it. But I think the computer aided stuff. You mentioned even taking some of those classes.
I had Mr. Hunter.
Yeah.
For graphics.
Yeah, I remember like doing a whole like layout, like a architectural layout of some. I don't remember the project per se, but I think at the time, like as much as the focus was to go to college for like a better career kind of thing, at the same time it was like, oh, the only way to make money in the arts is to be a graphic designer or like an industrial designer or something like that. So maybe I, kind of funneled into those classes a little more than like painting, drawing, and ceramics. So and I didn't really discover those things until Monco, and I didn't touch clay until like my second year in Monco. And then
wow.
So yeah, right. So yeah, I don't know. I have like a really vague memory of high school for some odd reason.
Well, it's interesting. It just sounds like, I mean, you talked about Mr. Miller being like a counselor of sorts, but it didn't sound like you really had like anyone to like help you kind of like see a path.
Oh, yeah, like I didn't know the direction to take to actually well, I guess I could have asked. Like, we just don't know to ask either. Or maybe they did kind of coax me in some sort of direction, and I just was so shy. Like I do remember maybe Mr. Miller like helping me apply to a couple bigger schools, and I remember visiting the university or U Arts or something in Philly and this and that, and I was just like too afraid to even like go to them. So I think I just wanted to settle on Monco because I didn't know what I wanted to do or wanted to be or knew how to fit in to feel comfortable anywhere outside of my, less than a square mile radius of Ambler, right?
Interesting. When do you remember like how we kind of got all into the same group together? Like,
yeah, I'm really trying to think. I may have had a class at Ray, and I remember he had this butterfly knife, and I was like asking him about that, and then he got me one. I don't know if he would go to like Chinatown down the city or somewhere, wherever the hell he got him. I forget where he said he was getting.
Was it the Q Mart?
Oh man, I think you're right.
Ray
Yeah,
loved the
he
Q
got
Mart.
me this killer one. It was black, and we used to whip him around like what was that movie?
Bloodsport.
No. Where is it? Mel Gibson pulls out a butterfly knife.
A Lethal Weapon.
Yeah, maybe it was. Yeah, I think so. I don't know. So we were always like trying to do like that whole whip thing with it. And Ray was good because Ray, was he a black belt in Taekwondo or something?
Yeah.
He had all the swords and shit in his room.
Yep.
He was pretty badass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He'd
Well,
always.
he was on the demo team, wasn't he? I
What's that?
think he was on the demo team.
Yeah. He was like legit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he had he would do all the and he had the wrist holds, and he would have like all the different Ninja Turtle weapons like swords and sai, and he know how to use nunchucks and
yeah. I remember he had the big Korean flag hanging in his room too. Yeah, there's that, and like I don't know, maybe I just gravitated towards that kind of thing. Like I was really into weapons then too, like guns and shit, like paintballing and things, even though like I never carried or did anything with actual guns. I just thought they were cool machines or something. But
it's funny because like eventually Josh came into our group, and like you, him, and Tony was in that. Like all of you guys were into like hunting and cars and like super. And Scott was into like cars and like just super. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I don't know.
Redneck.
Yeah, I never liked hunting. I remember Josh, man. He called me up. It was like 6 o'clock on like a Tuesday morning or something. We're in high school. He's like, yeah. He's like, I shot a deer across the street at Slosher's farm. He's like, come help me drag it out. I'm like, dude, it's like 6 o'clock. He's like, yeah, no. Hurry up. We got to get it before we go to school. So I'm like, all right. So my dumb ass, guy out of bed, drove over his house and shit, help him drag a damn deer out of the woods. And I was like, why am I doing this? I don't even hunt. It's too cold for this shit. But it's fun. But I don't know what the heck the connection was. Maybe it was just like a natural progression. Maybe it was because of like Ray and then Ritter and then you and then Alyssa somehow and then Josh. Because Josh, I guess he came to Wissahickon in 10th grade. I don't think he was there a freshman year.
Yeah, he wasn't. He was like one of the new kids. Yeah. I mean, I remember how we got hooked up with Alyssa, and that Alyssa was friends with Sue Kettner, and Scott and Sue Kettner were friends.
Yeah.
Me and Scott and Ray used to hang out with her and Alyssa, and that was how we got plugged in. And I just happened to know Alyssa from many years prior. The only person I knew before you.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. So, yeah, I think, you have a good memory. It does ring a bell. But then, I remember just hanging out with Josh and Alyssa and Tony and like you, like every day from then on out.
Yeah, when we talk about like 6 friends, that is exactly like it was every, Ray would take Alyssa and me home, me and Alyssa home from school every day. Every Friday, Scott would take me to Wawa to pick up my check so I could take it to Ambler Savings and cash it. And we'd have money, then meet up with like you guys and go to Friendly's or Olive Garden or like
Bennigan's was the one. Josh and Alyssa used to love eating there.
Yeah.
Bennigan's up on 309.
Yep. And that's good, just
from what I remember.
Yeah, or like like I said, like I feel like Scott and I kind of like started pairing off as we got older, and like the famed Sixers and Wings and Wings to Go.
Wings to Go is legit, man. I missed that place when I closed down in Springhouse.
Loved it there.
But
what kind of stuff like did you do? I don't know, when you weren't hanging out with me, because it would be like super group style, like maybe on a Saturday, like we all kind of trickle into Alyssa's and end up over there by the end of the night. And I know as we got older, you were hanging out with Josh and so much more stuff with those group of guys that they used to hang out with when we were like in our 19s and 20s and shit.
They carried on for pretty much till they got married and bought their first house.
But yeah, what were you like in high school? What kind of stuff were you doing? Like,
Working.
Clemens, right? Well, one was
Clemens,
Clemens.
Clemens landscaping. And then one winter I got a job at Josh got me in at Chiron to do winter rebuilds. So we repair all the mowers and stuff like that. And then I pretty much hung out with him 7 days a week. Would sleep at his house on a weekday that we had off, and we'd go into work early and work like a full 8-hour shift or something. Or if it snowed, we go do snow removal for Chiron, stuff like that. We took apart his IROC for his senior project, took the whole motor out of it and everything, tore it down, stripped it, and he got it sent out to get like stroked or bored out or whatever he had done to it, and we put it all back together and all that kind of stuff, which is cool because I remember being like 10 o'clock at night just chilling at the garage at his house now, but it was his mom's then.
Yeah.
Listening to like MMR, and I remember when that song "Let the Bodies Hit the Floor" came out, and they played it. They would only play it late night on like local rock stations. It wasn't on during the day. Like Pierre Rivera wasn't playing that shit.
Drowning Pool.
Yes, that's what. Yeah, like stuff like I don't know, but yeah, other than that, like working. Like my dad worked for Lower Gwinnett Township, but he also had the landscaping business. So like my brother and I would always be running around doing that stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I was pretty like low key, kind of like a quiet dork. Just did my own thing, like would draw, play video games like Madden, and then when Dreamcast came out, like
Oh yeah,
like 2K, the 2K games were awesome.
Yep.
Like Kyle Calman would come over, we'd play. Also play like basketball in Cherry Lane a lot, just with like Neil, Kyle Calman, and Davey Slentz lived in that neighborhood.
Oh yeah.
There's another guy that lived behind us. I keep drawing a blank on his name.
Shout out to Kyle Kalman for finally getting Instagram.
Oh, that's right. I gotta follow him. What's his name?
Kyle Kalman.
Oh, mine's George Barreca, so nothing clever either. Yeah, that's fun.
Were you into cars prior to like the Josh connection? Because Josh was heavy into cars, and I know Ray got heavy into cars.
Yeah.
As we kind of got to know Josh, and Scott was into cars, and I felt I was kind of like, Tony had the Jeep, and I was like the one that, like, I didn't have my driver's license. I wasn't into cars. I wasn't into bikes. Like, were you always into cars, or did that increase with the friendship?
I was always into them. I think that's one of the, like, how I actually became friends with them, because my first car I bought was a '68 Chevelle.
I remember the Chevelle.
Remember Josh called into that, and he's like, "There's no way this kid has a '68 Chevelle." And I don't know if you were with them, but I remember him, Ray, and Ritter came by like late night. It was like 7, 8 o'clock at night, like this time of year where it's like dark already and cold, and they just like pull up and like knock on the door. I was like, "Oh yeah," so I went, pulled the car cover off of it and shit. Josh always stands there with his hand in his pocket. He's just like looking at it like, yeah.
That was nice, dog.
Yeah. Yep. So that, yeah, and then he helped. He taught me a lot. Like, I didn't know much mechanically about cars, except for like, I know I would watch my grandfather do like small stuff that he could do to like an old carbureted car, which as cars progressed, he kind of gave up on that. Like once it became like computerized and stuff. But yeah, then I just, working at Chiron with Josh, like working on diesel trucks, mowers, small, like 2-cycle stuff, everything. Like I just picked his brain, like try to learn as much from him in that capacity.
Now, our crew was infamous for having lots of cars. Ray famously sold he sold his Camaro for a Firebird.
I think so, yeah.
And
it was 6-cylinder one turbo. I remember it had like the little turbo port to the offset on the hood.
But I think his dad made him give it back. I think his dad made him trade it back because it couldn't pass inspection. But like we were also like, you guys were also all into like cars at the auction. Or Scott bought that Cougar at the auction. I think Ray bought a car at the auction with like false bottom seats.
What was the auction that they went to? Because I don't know.
Like Plymouth Meeting, the old car.
Oh, that one. Yeah, yeah. That's still there. I think it changed.
By the by the BJ's.
Yes. That's funny.
Yeah. So I remember like you had the Chevelle. Did your Chevelle catch on fire?
No.
Like El Camino.
The El Camino blew up on the way to Josh's dad's house in Hershey. On the
Hershey. I remember that.
Yeah.
El Camino, you crashed.
No, I crashed the Chevelle.
I mean, yeah, the Chevelle. I mean, you crashed. Yeah. I do. So I remember, like, we lots of different cars. Like everyone had. Leon had like 6 different cars. Everyone in our crew just like loved having cars, except for me.
Yeah, that's all right. You're probably better off. I had 17 cars in my lifetime already.
How are you doing? So is that what you would spend like your money on, working all the time, just buying cars?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the one I was like really invested in the Chevelle, but then I fucked that up, totaled it. But yeah, I put a new motor. Well, I didn't put it in. I paid like a mechanic to do it, but new drivetrain and everything. And I got new carpet that I installed, changed the bucket seats in the front. I started to, restore it slowly as like a 16-year-old kid could. But that didn't last long.
Were you doing that with Josh?
No, I think some of it, yes. But most of it, I think I had started doing when I first like met him. Yeah.
That's still like home improvement.
Mm-hmm. But I wanted to learn, but I didn't know enough. I probably should have went to tech school for auto mechanics, but I didn't know to do that or didn't. It wasn't the thing. Everyone's like, go to college.
Yeah, and it's funny because I don't think I thought of you. Well, no, that was exactly it. I think I wanted to go to college. Then and I felt like none of my friends wanted to. And
I remember me and you knew we were going to Monco together, right?
I guess so. I don't have like strong memory of being definitive about what I was doing. I remember being like slightly because like Monco didn't have a great reputation.
Does now, yeah.
It does now, and I love my time there, and I go back whenever I can. But back in 2001, 2000, it was like they called it 202U. Like the last thing you wanted to do was go to Monco. You went to Monco because no one else wanted you. That was like, unless you were a nurse. They had a great nursing program, right? But like that was like the reputation from the outside of Monco. So I don't think I ever wanted to like commit and say, I'm going to Monco. I wanted to go to Temple, but I never got my shit together. I didn't even apply until like the last, like the deadline, the Temple deadline. I like drove my shit down there that day and applied that way. Yeah. So I don't think I ever like I can't imagine myself saying out loud, like, I'm going to Monco. I'll see you there.
Yeah, right. No, I don't. But I think we kind of just like Tony went as well, and I think who else?
Scott went.
He did. I don't remember. Yeah, I guess he did. I mean, their art program is super strong.
Yeah. So what did you? I mean, you talked about. I mean, it sounds like you just didn't know what you wanted to do at all, and didn't even have like any type. But you have like these interests, but you didn't have any type of like guidance. I mean, you're into cars, you're into art, you're good with your hands, you do landscaping. It sounds like you should have been, at tech school. Were you conscious of that at any point and said, oh, I fucked up? Or did that only come until once you're gone, was it from Wissahickon?
No, I don't actually think I started really thinking about that until a couple years ago. I kind of just kept, on the same track. Like, I don't know. I was always told, got to take the CP courses in high school. And I remember I wasn't good at algebra or something, so I had to take MCP. And then it just like felt like degrading in a way. And it's like, whatever. didn't care anyway. But and it's just like, all right, you just chug along, do this thing, go to Monco, see what happens. You know.
Your time, like in like you talked about like just wanting to kind of be on the radar and not really like it sounds like not really like liking school so much, I guess.
No, I hated it until I went to Monco.
Did you was it different at Ambler Catholic?
Oh, I really hated it then.
Oh, really? Okay.
Why? I think if I think I don't know how to say it, but I guess I think I would have been better off just being in the public school system all along. Like I
Why?
would have fit in better with like the diversity and stuff, and like being around people with like wider interests, and then always like being, I was always like in a small group that was always like sports oriented, even though, I was pretty good at sports, I guess, for my size, and stuff like that. Like I liked playing it. I had the attitude for it. Like I was like an outlet, right? Like I wasn't really that aggressive. I mean, if I got bullied, I would obviously try to stick up for myself, whatnot. But I usually try to avoid conflict in some fashion, which is that whole Paul Cannon thing. I'm still like blown away by.
I was gonna say you told a story about that guy jacking you up into the lockers on freshman day, thinking you were a freshman.
Yeah,
and that when you then turned around and did it to Paul, was it?
No, I don't think
payback?
so. Maybe. I mean, there's been other incidents where it's like, after a while you're the one being pounded on, like you try to, find someone else to shift that.
Yeah. Can you put yourself back in that time of and like imagine just your person, the things that like kind of like led me to do this podcast, where I think about, which I talk about, and people up until Lizzie, often say like, oh, I don't remember that at all. And like Lizzie finally said, yeah, I kind of remember, like, it wasn't like crazy, but like I remember you would like have like incidences or confrontations with people in class.
Yeah.
Have words. Can you put yourself back in that time and think about the type of person the type of kid that you were, as far as behavioral or the way that you interacted with people in like an incident like Paul, to even like see like, oh, I could see a confrontation, and I would respond this way if I felt, what I mean? Can you see anything like that when you think back to that time?
Yeah. There was a couple of times I used to, what the heck was his name? There was this kid, I guess he was like, I don't know if he was a grade older above us or not. His name was Tony. He had a leather jacket on.
Ooh. Tony with the leather jacket.
Yeah, he used to, he would like, we had kind of had assigned seats in different classes in high school, but not really.
Yeah.
You come in, you kind of pick the same corner that you sit in and sit there. And I don't know. I think it was a full class, so I had like nowhere to sit, and I was like, I don't know why he was even in there. But like I would always, just be like the guy, like whatever. It was kind of like George McFly, right? In a way. After a while, you just fucking throw a punch. You're like, you're so fed up. You're like, whatever. And then you're the one that ends up in more trouble, like in school suspension or something.
So like you would explode at some point.
Yeah. Yeah, like it takes a while. I mean, I still have a tendency to get that way. Like I'll let things slide for a while, but after a while, it's just aggravating, or you get agitated or something.
Yeah.
But I never like seek it. It just always came to me for some reason. I guess because I was at the time, 5'1", didn't shave. I had like the peach fuzz mustache, glasses. Just looked like a total nerd, right? You probably remember what I looked like more than I did. I think I would like steer clear of mirrors. I didn't want to know what I looked like. Super shy. I was like McLovin and George McFly put together, man.
I don't know. I mean, that's what's interesting is like you said that you kind of like felt like, well, you said originally you didn't feel like you were bullied or anything, but then but you also felt like you kind of like had these incidences that would build up and like that would push you. So
yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's surprising.
Yeah. I remember it happening a lot in Ambler Catholic. Like so many times the principal's sister Catherine, she would always be reaming me, Dan Frick, and Billy Chivarelli a new one. She'd be like, all you guys do is agitate, agitate, agitate. Like I remember that. But who knows? Like I don't know why I found myself in those situations. Bored, I guess.
Did you have
All stems from boredom for sure. All that stuff does, right?
just thinking about that today?
Yeah.
That's I think a lot of my issues stem from boredom in class. Like once I think I understand something, I shut it out and I go about my way and saying or looking at other things, and that's when you
Yeah.
start minding other people's business.
Yeah. I don't like learning from lectures in a textbook. Like I like things to be a little more tangible or something.
Did you have like a class you were actually good at academically?
Oh, in high school? Geez. No. Like I said, foreign language is new, so I did poorly in Spanish. English, I just didn't want to write.
Hmm.
What like even gym, like I love sports and shit, but like I was kind of like the new kid and was like never picked like when we did things in gym, so I kind of like I don't know, lost interest in that quickly, and then like just the time period of having gym like first or second period and like being sweaty and I didn't want to shower. There's no fucking way I'm showering.
No one showered. There was no showers.
Oh, I think there were in the dome.
No one showered though. You just
No, we were there. We had the lockers. We had to go in and change or whatnot.
But no one showered. Like the football.
I don't think so. Maybe just like Mike Mickles or someone like that probably would have.
But no one showered. That's like I hate that today. Like, I can't stand that. When I think back, I just go, that was ridiculous.
Dude, now they have a pool. Like I can't imagine like the schools that have pools like for the women that were going through like whatever they had to go through and like you're in swim class. Like fuck that. Right?
Horrible.
My wife's like, I did. She like dodged that class, like I think.
I was talking with someone recently about that. Like they hated swimming.
Yeah.
They hated swimming.
Like how like why? I don't get it. Like I don't know. I don't get it. I mean, there's definitely probably more now than ever. You definitely need some kind of like focus on health. I'm sure, but it's like just to play dodgeball or kickball or like stupid. Yeah, it's dumb. It's like teach people more about nutrition or whatever, and then
hygiene.
Maybe at the end of school, like you do something.
At least hygiene.
Yeah, hygiene for sure. Oh yeah. I remember Mr. Lamedy was awesome. He was the lacrosse coach, right? And also taught 11th grade health.
Yeah.
STDs and stuff like that.
Wow, I forgot all about him.
He was an awesome teacher, I thought.
Mr. Lamedy, I forgot all about that.
Yeah, he was cool. And also was social lab with Mr. Ferrantino.
Mr. Ferrantino. So was social lab where you got a job?
Yes. Yeah, you went to school for like half the day and you learned about like like whatever topics, like like I guess it was like current events topics. Like it was about the economy and like stuff like that, and SUVs running rampant and fuel prices and shit like that.
So I mean that's a little bit different, right? That's it's not tech school, but it's a little bit. What was your job? What would you do for
I worked I interned at an architecture office in Springhouse, Joseph Zadlow. So my dad knew him, so I guess that's how that kind of thing worked out too.
So none of this stuff. I mean, you had your hands in like way more stuff than I did, but none of this stuff you ever thought about as you're going through school about like a job or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I wish I could go back and like really pick apart what the hell I was thinking, because I ended up I went to Monaco for 2 years for graphic design.
Okay.
Realized I did not want to sit at a computer all day. I couldn't. It just drove me nuts. So I think I did those 2 years. I took a semester off and I worked for a contractor, True Blood Construction. They're out of Springhouse. They build like custom multi-million-dollar mansions.
Oh, okay.
So I did that for like not long at all. Didn't like that at the time. I was like, I don't know about this either. Uh, so like listening to your conversation with Lizzie and also you, we weren't alone in the fact that we just had no clue like what we wanted to do, what we wanted to be, and where we wanted to be. I guess so. It's funny.
Yeah.
There's always been like one like common theme or thread throughout my whole life is that I really enjoy being a laborer, just like a blue collar laborer. Like I like shoveling, I like doing stuff like that. It doesn't bother me to, you know, admit that I have a master's degree, but yet my career still falls in line with just being a laborer.
Can you explain what that? Do you know what it is that you love about it?
I like the physicality of it for sure, and I think that's why, you know, even with art, like I finally found a focus with ceramics because it's, it's physical and it's earth,
Mm.
it's there's chemistry behind it. It's kind of cool. It's like multifaceted in that way. If you're a potter, it's utilitarian. So it's kind of like a trade. You're a craftsman. It carries like all those like cool like buzzwords for me anyway.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So then at what point did you start going, like you took off for a semester, and then at what point do you decide to keep going in school?
Yeah, I don't know if it was like a just not understanding like culture or class or like like seeing like how hard my dad worked and like man I really don't want to do that. I should probably still try to like attempt college and see if I can like because that's what hell was sold to us. It's like oh you can make like six figures if you go to college where like your parents only make like 40 grand or something but it's
Yeah.
like not true. uh so I don't know if I at the time just for some odd reason thought that I could be like I could separate myself from Ambler, for lack of better phrases.
Hmm.
You know what I mean by that?
Yeah. I feel like you and I have talked about that.
Oh, probably. Yeah,
Um, both having left the area for a bit, and
yeah,
both being like close, but we're actually not back at all. Either one of us still, even though we're not too far.
right.
I feel like we both talked about that, like just the desire to like get away and get out and stay away.
Yeah, just to see. I mean, it's fun. It's also, I've met so many different people, and I have like best friends that live throughout the country now, which is cool. Uh,
So then, what was the move then? So
oh,
you,
the initial move. Yeah. So okay. Um, yeah, I'm not good at categorizing these stories here, all
no,
right?
that's what I do.
Yeah, right.
I set you up.
Yeah. So, okay, yeah, I took that semester off. I worked with this builder, and then I landscaped, and then I was like, you know what, because I truly have a passion for art and like a talent for it as well. I guess nobody wants to admit that they have a talent, but obviously I'm almost 40 years old now, so it's there. It's something that I can't get rid of, right? I can draw,
Got it.
and I can, kind of make whatever I want to make in a way. So, um, yeah, I was just like, like I really want to just be an artist. Like I didn't want the career aspect of it, like graphic designs or anything corporate like that.
Hmm.
My whole life, even way before I realized it, just have never been a fan of capitalism or corporate America or any of that sort. So, yeah, so I enrolled back in just as a fine art major. I didn't do the BA in arts and graphic design. I think I got 2 associate's degrees from there, but whatever.
You went back to Monco.
Did a whole other 2 years because I went through and did all like the studio arts focus. And then you could do this dual enrollment thing, which I didn't learn about until it was too late. So like if I excelled and maintained like a B average, like they would partner up with like Tyler School of Art or other programs. And I think it was like easier to get accepted when you transferred.
Yeah, for the core transfer, core to
Yeah,
core.
so I didn't know that, but anyway, like still being like the shy kind of kid. You know, I was a little outgoing. You know, I would talk to like people in class and go to the cafeteria, eat lunch with them. We had like big groups on the art. What they call it? The art barn was the art barn. Yeah, I think in Monco.
Monco, yeah.
Yeah, you know, we would go to the cafeteria for like the 2 hour break between like the morning and afternoon sessions or whatnot. So it was like a career go. It was fun. I would work on the off days and then like go Monday, Wednesday, Friday to Monco and like just drive there, get there early because you know how hard it was to get a parking spot. I'd get there
Park,
at 8 o'clock.
Park House, College Hall.
Yeah, you park and just never leave, right? You stay there. You went to the cafeteria. You did not want to lose your spot.
Yep.
I couldn't afford it. It was a nightmare when you came back if you had to leave for something.
Horrible.
Man, I forgot about that struggle, huh? That struggle was real.
It got to the point, you know, I was doing the radio show. I was doing the radio
Yeah.
station.
I would come down and hang out with you, remember?
Yeah.
Down below the cafeteria. Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
Down in College Hall.
You did like hip hop Wednesdays or some shit, didn't you? Or hip hop
wrestling.
Yeah, but you also did a hip hop thing, didn't you?
We did. We would do like hip hop. I would play hip hop on my show, like for the commercial.
Oh, okay.
But then we'd also do like a hip hop thing on Fridays, and then like at some point, I became the hip hop director there.
See, okay.
So yeah. But the only show I ever had was a wrestling show. Figures.
Okay.
But you know, similar to you, you know, that's the cool thing about Monco.
Yeah.
You know, I ask you all these questions, and it's like, on the flip side, I also had no idea what it was I wanted to do, and it wasn't until I got to Monco and doing video. Sure, I got so comfortable from a technical standpoint, but then also doing radio.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm a shy person. I came up, you know, I've talked about before doing the childhood acting thing.
Yeah.
Child model and all that stuff. And I've always been very, very shy in that way of like putting myself out there in an audition or, you know, on the runway, or I can just, you know, there's kids that are, you know, are like childhood actors. You look at them and go, I wasn't that kid. I didn't step out and go, I can do that.
Yeah, right.
I'll do that. I have that talent. That was never me. But what I discovered was on a microphone, I've got flavor. You know,
Yeah.
I can talk. I can tell great stories. I've got some style on a microphone. And I didn't learn that until Monco. And it took my second year to get there.
Okay. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I got to come back to that thing. Remember? Well, real quick. Remember the freestyle battles and like with like Rafi Sanchez and shit like that?
I do remember that.
Being caught up like watching that. That was awesome. Yeah. So okay. So I get back into Monco, fine arts track. Take like all the drawing class. Oh no, I took drawing. That was like prereq for those stuff. So I think I started taking painting, like oil painting and things like that. And then I started expiring all those because I would take like painting 1, 2, and 3, whatever class 1, 2, and 3. So you know, I had to go see the advisor to register for the next semester, and she's like, "Oh yeah, you're looking good. You're looking good. Oh wait a minute." She's like, "You haven't taken any electives yet, have you?" I was like, I don't know. I guess not, huh?" I was like, "What are my options?" And she was like, "Well," she's like, "if you want to major in fine arts, you know, and transfer in fine arts," she's like, "you got to fulfill some other studio requirements." She's like, "How about photography or ceramics?" I was like, "Oh man." I was like, I remember taking photography in high school, which was fine. I just wasn't my thing. Wasn't into the process at all. So I was like, yeah. I was like, all right, I guess I'll take ceramics. So I like, you know, register and enroll in ceramics 1. I get there, you go through like the syllabus day introduction. I'm just like still like, whatever. And then finally you start to get involved. And I remember this thing finally presenting me with like this challenge where I could not grasp the concept of like centering on the wheel. And it had taken me like almost a whole semester just to like figure that out. And I remember just like that, like that challenge or struggle. That actually like really intrigued me, right? And then it's like this earth, and then glazes are like uh, pulverized rock in suspension, and like with certain temperatures and fluxes, they melt and they create this glass. So like all this started to connect, right?
Mm.
I was like, wow, this is totally awesome. So I just kept with it. I took like every ceramics class I could there. Then I started talking to one of the teachers there, and they were like, well, yeah, there's, if you want to stay local, like Arcadia has this really good program. This professor Paula Winokur teaches there, which she had just retired like that same year I was transferring in. So I ended up with this guy, Greg Moore, who both my wife and I had as a professor there and mentor. Great guy. He lives in the Glenside area, has his own like studio shop on Glenside Ave.
Okay.
Anyway, but yeah, he's now at Christ. He's been there for 15, 15 years or something.
But
Almost
another
20.
person working as a working artist.
Yeah, phenomenal. Yep. So then you really start to like focus in on like the academic side, and like you start to learn like the history of ceramics, like from China and Japan, Korea, and then even like Mesoamerican pottery, and you start to like all these ideas start to come together, and then like you kind of like pick out what draws your attention, and then there's like these working artists. There's just potters that make a living making like killer pots. There's the professor track, you can teach at a university. And I'm like, oh, here it is, right? It's not like corporate really, but which universities kind of are now. So
But the
but
arts always have a little bit of leeway.
yeah. Well, that's the cool thing about it, especially like when you're in an art program. I mean, they kind of, most professors are at the same sort of mindset we would.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was just, I don't know. It was it. It was me. It was like, it was mud, and not to be cliche, but it was like the earth. It was like me digging, wedging clay, throwing pots, building like slab structures, like
Yeah.
really like building, right? Building. I guess that's like the thing. That's what um crap. Might have to edit that. Skip there. I can't recall what the hell my thesis exhibition was called.
At Arcadia?
No, at Illinois State, my master's of fine art thesis.
Well,
But yeah, Arcadia, you had to do a thesis there as well and have a 20-page paper backing it.
wow.
Yeah, it was,
So you talked about like not liking school itself. How'd you find college outside of your art classes?
yeah, like undergrad, Monco and stuff. I hated taking like psychology and like the classes that you had to take for whatever reason. Even when I transferred to Arcadia, I had to take another math class, this and that. Oh, I took Italian 1 and 2, which was way better than Spanish, I guess, because I had a connection to it, I guess. But like those class, I don't know. It's like, what a waste of time. Like, why do you have to do that? Why can't you just come in with a focus and fucking focus on it, right? Like,
Yeah, you have to take these. Well, because it costs money.
Exactly. But it's exhausting. It really distracts you from like what you really want to do in a way.
When
I mean, it's good to, like, have a background and stuff, but I don't think you have to continuously do it.
When I got my bachelor's at Temple in film, I remember I'd taken so many classes in my major, so many film classes, I couldn't take any more credits, and I had to take classes in other majors. So I found like Jews in cinema is a religion class.
Oh yeah. And I love when you get signed off on that kind of stuff.
And African American movies is a cultural is a Black studies class.
Yeah.
And so they didn't fall into my film area. But my senior year, I had like 3 classes. I think I had like Blacks in cinema. I had weight training, and I had my thesis, and that was it. My thesis was 4 hours a day.
Yeah, and you get like half the credits for it. It's awesome.
And it was a full year class.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was like 4 hours a day, like these film labs where you're going through your footage that you shoot. And then the rest of the days you're going through like theory and all that. But like all I did was focus pretty much for my senior year was focus on film. And that for me felt like the best I'd ever been, the most productive, the most focused I'd ever been on what it is I do and what I'm good at and how to keep getting better at that.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, I don't get why that's not the format, but because like you're going to want to learn, you'll eventually want to learn something. You'll go seek it out on yourself. Like that's what liberal arts gives you, the flexibility to like design your own course, I guess, or not. You know what I'm trying to say. But then also it teaches you how to like think and research, right?
Yeah,
that's all you need. Like you don't have to take math. Why do I got to take math? I don't want nothing to do with math.
I failed a math class. The only class I failed. Well, I failed a class in high school once, Japanese, my freshman year, and that's when I went to Spanish. But in college, I failed one in class, and it was like a history of math at Monco, taught by Katie Ryan. Yeah, taught by Katie Ryan's mom. If you remember Katie Ryan graduated with us, dated Jason Herb. And her mom.
Oh, that's right. Okay, the name came up in his. Yeah.
And her mom failed me. It's like it was like learning about Copernicus and like the history of the sun and all, and like it was an 8 a.m. class, and I was trying to do the college thing, and oh, it was terrible. It was horrible.
You learn about the history of the sun through a Western culture, yeah.
It was terrible.
And maybe the Mayans, that'd be cool.
Oh, it was horrible. It was terrible.
Yeah, I don't get like the math, like the levels of math that they make you take, like general courses in college. It's like it's not going to teach me how to weigh out glazes. Like I already know it's simple like arithmetic. Like I don't need algebra or anything.
Well, also, how about like once I sign up for what I want to do, how about if there's some sort of math that's really important in that field, then I have to take it.
Yeah.
You know, if there's some sort of like weird arithmetic I got to do to figure out like film footage and light and f-stops and stuff like that, you know, with light meters, like cool. And then I understand why I need to take calculative film math or whatever it is. But like, don't just make me have to choose from these 9 math classes that you offer that are open and say I have to have math because you need another $450 out of me.
Yeah, right. And it's like a waste of 9 hours of your week.
Horrible.
Yep, I agree. But that's like even with like the public school, I think that's why kids like people like we're just so bored. It's not challenging. It's because we don't. I mean, it could be challenging, I guess, if we're interested in that subject. But if you don't have the interest, you're not going to want to be challenged by it. It's like,
well, that's why it was interesting. You know, when as you're talking about like being in Arcadia and all that, like you know, you could tell like you've got like this passion for what you're doing. But you're able to set your schedule. You're able to set your path rather than having it kind of arbitrary.
Yeah, like there is glaze calc, like that kind of math. Sure, I'll figure that out when I have to, and I did. It's like, but I don't need to take like trigonometry or anything.
Right.
I don't even know what the hell trigonometry is, to tell you the truth, or calculus. I thought calculus was like learning how to use a calculator when I was in high school. That's how stupid I was. I had no clue what calculus is, still to this day. No fun. Don't want to know either. Care less.
It is a class where you have a really pretty teacher and you have other pretty girls that sit all around you. Most of them named Stephanie. That is what calculus means to me.
Nice. Sounds like you failed it.
A's, brother. A's. I paid attention to that class.
Who was that? Who was the math teacher you had?
Pastor.
I don't know. See, I don't know. I heard I had like one of the saviors, and then I had Mr. Mr. Brody. He was awesome.
Brody taught calculus also. Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't take calculus. I took like pre-algebra or something.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Something simple. MCP.
So what did you end up graduating from Arcadia with?
Yeah, Bachelor of Fine Arts with a concentration in ceramics.
Ah, okay.
So then so that and it took me a while. Like I took that semester off, went back in, transferred stuff. I didn't graduate with my bachelor's until 2008.
Right. Well, you did. Yeah, you did two. You did 2
Yeah,
years each, right? You did 4 years
yeah,
at Monco with a split in the middle, a break in the
yeah,
middle, and then yeah, at Arcadia.
yeah. So I think most of our class would have, in 4 years been out in '05, right?
Yeah, because I graduated '06.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. So okay, cool. Uh, yeah. So there was that, and then I did a. So after that, I applied to a residency up in Northwest New Jersey called Peters Valley Craft Center. So I was their summer resident assistant in ceramics, which is a really good experience. I did that for the summer of 2009, and then met one of the workshop presenters there who lived in New Jersey as well. He's like a world-renowned potter. So I stayed in that area and then worked for him.
So were you living in Jersey?
I did, yeah. I lived in Jersey. That was my first move away.
So yeah, I was gonna ask you because like
Yeah,
you talked about like wanting to both of us like that like kind of like be a bit away and see
yeah.
some different things and all that, but it took you 8 years, 9 years to get there to actually move away. So what's that like? That whole what's going on that whole time you're still an Ambler?
Oh, knowing that I was going to move away.
No, I just mean that whole
Oh,
time. Yeah, just like life. You're still home.
yeah. I'd been hanging out with people. Then I'm fine. We turned 21, and I started drinking beer. Then my whole world opened up. I was like George with a personality. I don't know what the actual like transition was. I think, yeah, I remember one day my brother coming home and he's like, "Dude, guess who I saw today?" I'm like, "Who?" He's like, "Mike Malazzi." I'm like, "No way," because he was like, Upper Dublin High School
uh,
and stuff, and I haven't seen him since, I don't know, pretty much since he left Ambler Catholic in fourth grade or whatever, and went to, I don't know. I guess I don't know if he went to Sandy Run. I don't know their middle school orientation there, but anyway, he's like, yeah, uh, he's like, yeah, we're gonna play football, like Saturday or something, whatever day it was. He's like, you want to play? We were all talking. We're like, they all want to like see you and stuff. I'm like, yeah, 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 yeah. So started playing like backyard pickup football again at the band practice field up off, but behind the high school where like the student parking lot is.
yeah, Dagger Road.
Yeah, yeah, Dagger Road. Thank you. Couldn't think of it. um, so then, yeah, like reconvened with like Mike Malazzi and like the Capolellas and the Mastromatos and
Yeah.
we've gotten into like this routine where we played like hard like tackle football, no pads, like hardcore, like not even lying. Like guys like broke their collarbones and tore ACLs and broken noses and jaws, and we just kept doing it for like 5 years straight.
Wow.
It was like the old school because the generation before us, like Anthony Fideli and like those guys, they would play against like guys from Abington, and they actually played against Eddie George. He played running back for the Titan or it was the Titan, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Titans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Running back.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's from Abington, so his dad worked at Standard Press Steel down in Jenkintown.
Oh.
I believe. Anyway, yeah. So it was like this cool thing, and like my dad's generation, they always played pickup games against like the neighboring towns. So we started doing that. We were playing these guys from like the city and stuff, and it got like hardcore. Where like Joey Bach would like film it, but then I don't know if anything ever came of the videos and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, it was fun. But yeah, we would brutalize each other.
So yeah, more physical stuff.
Yeah. So then, I started hanging out with those guys more, and then they were like my drinking buddies when we turned 21. We would like go to Rookies day in and day out, and Fireside when it switched hands, changed hands, and then Fireside has like phenomenal food, like their wood-fired brick oven pizzas and everything. Like, it was just cool, like a good time. And then, And then my dad would like hang out with us at the bar and shit. It was fun.
That's
So I did that for a while, long time.
I remember like that's like kind of the time I really remember hanging out with you more one-on-one, you know, because Alyssa was away at school.
Yeah, she went to Kutztown. Yep.
Yeah, and she would come home on the weekends, and Josh was working pretty hard, and then I think he was at his grandparents at the time, and so he would kind of go home but like you and I were still kind of in the area, especially I was still working at Wawa, so I was still in Ambler, and I was hanging out in Ambler still with like Biggs and Shiz Raw and Fat Boy and that whole that whole Wawa crew, and like you said, rookies like every night. And I talked with Jason Herb, like that's where he and I used to always kind of like run into each other and kick it. So that was definitely like that period of time. I remember like hanging out with you, like I said, like buying Scarface and you coming over and like coming to watch Scarface and all that stuff. That was like that era. But that was also like as an adult, really like when I really got to know your dad.
Yeah.
I like he was kind of like around and working at Wawa. I would always see him and Larry, of course, like
all those township guys would go there.
All those guys and the police of Lower Gwinnett.
Yeah, Paul Kenny
was coming in, but like but then when we were like 21 or so, like and going to bars and like your 21st birthday party, I remember, and your graduation party and like just all these things were like, or getting to know your dad. He was one of the first like kind of like older guys that to hang out with, for me, outside of like my little group of like Ray's dad and Daniel Pitcher's dad. And I talk about you like your dad a little bit. He was such a fun character.
He loved it. I mean, I don't know where to start, but I mean, probably like awesome dad, right? Worked 2 jobs my whole life. Was like really into sports. Loved the Eagles, the Sixers, the Raiders. I remember when the Sixers traded Allen Iverson, he was so pissed. I think he burned his Allen Iverson jersey. He was like, "I'm fucking assholes." Loved track. He was like so into the Penn relays and stuff. He loved track.
Really?
He always wanted me to run track. I tried it for a little bit, but like, man, kudos to anyone that made it as a career runner, like Jess Davis. That like track practice just seems brutal. Like the most boring, like mundane thing.
What did you go out for?
I actually ran for Ambler Catholic or CYO in the Penn relays one year.
Really?
I was like more of like an 800 guy.
Wow.
Like, I didn't have the speed to be like a real sprinter, and it was just like didn't have the mindset to run any further than that at the time.
Now, were you your dad's hardcore Raiders? Were you also Raiders?
Still am. They're playing tonight.
Now, when we were growing up, like that was kind of the tail end of the Raiders, like big time. And then it was like right when we were graduating again with like Jerry Rice and Rich Gannon and
that.
Yeah. What was that? What was that like going through that whole run?
With my dad? Oh man, I remember I actually cried when they lost.
Wow.
Yep. Well, they what was it, the year?
That was 01.
They lost in the playoffs.
It was
they lost to the Patriots, the Tuck rule in the playoffs. And then the next year they went back but Al Davison wanted to keep John Gruden as a coach, and then he went on to coach the Buccaneers, and the Buccaneers beat us. It's like
that was but the Buccaneers beat the Eagles in the 2002 NFC Championship.
That's right. Yeah, because like
the last game of the vet.
That early 2000s, Gannon and McNabb were like neck and neck for it, like league MVP. Gannon got it 1 year because they both would like have the most rushing yards as a quarterback at the time before Vic really started coming around and taking off.
He wasn't even in the league yet.
No, I don't think so. He was like a couple years later. Yeah. He was still at Virginia Tech. Yeah. But Gannon's a local boy. Shout out.
That's right.
St. Joe's Prep and then Delaware. Yep.
That's right.
He's from. I don't know where he's from, like the East Falls area or Abington. I don't know where he's from.
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I didn't even know he was. I knew he went to St. Joe's, but I didn't know he went. I know around here.
Yeah, he's from the area. Yeah.
And then you said that you were also a big reggae fan, and I knew your dad, and I don't think I knew it until like hanging outside of like the firehouse or something like that, and he's like in reggae, and he's like, you don't know about this shit, and I'm like, what the really like. Here's your dad, this little white guy that just loves reggae, and he's talking like deep cuts.
He was into it. Every Sunday morning. He would get up early, and he would have like these mixtapes from his buddies. I'll tell you the whole story before that, but that's all I heard. Like every Sunday morning was just him downstairs, just feet up on the couch, just chilling because the only day he didn't have to work, listening to reggae. So yeah, when he was a kid, grew up on Main Street. Right, his yard backed up to the lumber yard that burnt down.
Oh wow, yeah.
He's actually next to where like Tristan Harold and them lived, I think, for a while.
Okay,
they were right on that same block where Forest tees into Maine.
Mm-hmm.
So that house, the corner of Forest and Maine, where the brewery is now, was his longtime friends who moved from Jamaica to Ambler.
Oh,
and so like Jeff, there's like Brian, Jeff, Steve, and then the sister Marva, and then Ian, the younger brother. Well, Ian's older than Steve, I think. But Steve actually he holds track records at Wissahickon, and for the Junior Olympics, and actually had a full scholarship to Auburn, where he was roommates with Bo Jackson. No lie.
Wow.
Played pickup basketball with Barkley because Barkley went to Auburn. And then he ran in the '84 Olympics for Jamaica, won a bronze medal in the 4x400 relay. Not lying.
Wow.
So that's why my dad was so into reggae and track.
Wow.
He would go to the Penn relays every year, and he was like ecstatic that my birthday's April 30th because it's like the weekend Penn relays fall every year.
My grandfather was a PIAA official.
No shit.
Yeah, and he used to take me to, in high school, he would take me to the relays, and we would sit literally at the finish line.
Okay.
Right behind Bill Cosby. Like literally, not like in the same area. Like Bill Cosby would be sitting in the row right in front, like literally right in the seat in front of me, and like, gave me a hot dog at one time. Like, yeah.
Oh man, and then like long stretch where like me and Andrew Pileggi and me, him, and my brother and my dad would work at Kenny's Christmas trees. We always unloaded trucks the Thanksgiving Eve. And then like Paul Dooley as well. And we would they brought in Brian Keenan. He would do it. So like we would all do that, work there, go home, shower up, and then go to PJ Willenhan's and just get like hammered, right? And we did that for like years.
Wow.
Years. And then just like would be regulars at Fireside. We would bounce back and forth from Fireside to PJ Willenhan's. And then sometimes Reed's.
Yeah.
Sometimes Bar 31. Casey's Alley. Like that was just like, the thing.
So you were a bona fide local.
Yep.
So
and I wasn't like never had any intentions of like really like drinking or being involved in the bar scene, but I just like how like I recognized that I became like outgoing. I don't know if it's because like just like the guys I was hanging, like Andrew Pileggi. I mean, he's always outgoing. It's like those guys, just being around those guys, or had something to do with just like socializing, drinking beer. Yeah.
Is your mom from Ambler?
Yes. Yep. My whole family. So my mom, my grandfather, my maternal grandfather, moved to Ambler in 1937.
Wow.
From Italy. They came over. His dad worked at the asbestos plant. And then my great grandfather died at a really early age from mesothelioma. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I don't know when my dad's family actually migrated here. I think it grew up. My grandfather on that side may have like grew up on Forest Avenue or Maple or so. I don't know where, but he worked for MChem. which was like the other industry in Ambler, other than the lumber yard at the time. So along the train tracks there still.
And when we talk about like wanting to get out, did you feel like that then, or was it once you left and like got to Jersey and Illinois and Nebraska and then Illinois that you kind of felt that way of like, oh, this is what I needed? Did you feel like that prior to you going away for college, or while this is going on, did you feel that way while you're living?
Not at all. It wasn't until I had discovered ceramics, and then it's just like you got to seek these opportunities, like build your resume to get into a grad program, to do this, to do that, like that kind of thing. So you just follow that.
Yeah.
And then you like discover people who are there, and you want to like, learn under them or work with them or build a kiln with them. So you kind of follow those paths. And then like once you're in it, it's like really cool to discover like all these other people with these different experiences, these different cultures, personalities, and whatnot.
Where were you at in life as far as where you were living and where you were going to school when your dad passed?
Oh shit, yeah. So he passed in June of 2007, and that was the summer before my last year at Arcadia.
And then you ended up leaving in like what, 2009?
Yeah. So I think maybe that had something to do with it too. Maybe it was just like, well, you only kind of live once. You go like try to like travel a bit, even though it's not really traveling. As I wish I would, would have taken other opportunities to like maybe go to Europe or Asia or India or somewhere else. I've never really been out of the country other than like the Caribbean.
Now that we're not allowed to leave, now
Oh, wow.
you start thinking like, God, I should have gone somewhere. But I haven't. I've been to Canada and I've been to Dominican Republic, and that's it for me. Outside of the country. So I definitely feel the same way. But no, I mean, when you go away to Illinois or Nebraska, you meet different people. You're going to the bars and all those things are different culturally. And so, no, that's traveling.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like from grad school in Illinois, I have best friends from one guy's from the Boston area, and actually his wife's from Bay Area. They now live in Minnesota because they went to Carleton College in the Minneapolis area. That's where they met. But then she got into the same grad program I was in, traveled to the Midwest, and then met two other guys from St. Louis area, which was not far from where we were. So I would travel there with them and like learn a little bit about that city, which was cool. Great barbecue. Yeah, good beers, everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, you go to a different school, especially a grad program. Well, I guess even undergrad, like people are coming from every which way.
Yeah.
You never know who you're going to run into or meet, and actually like kind of like connect with or fall in love with in some kind of way.
Yeah.
Like there's more than a handful of people that I've met along the way that I would consider like best friends now, that live miles away from me, but we still like talk to them on the phone for like hours, like how I'm chatting with you, stuff like that.
Yeah, and my travels from WWE and Temple, have the exact same where I've just got friends all over the country that I talk to, used to visit, but yeah,
I know, right?
Yeah, but we'll talk to for like hours, keep in contact with all the time, and it's one of those things I do feel very lucky about, to kind of have such a sprawling, to be able to have a group of friends in Connecticut or San Francisco, or and just be able to, no matter where you're going, to have like a crew.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like when I did the post-bac program at Syracuse, so that was the move after. So I went to New Jersey, came back, and I worked for Haynes and Kibblehouse, which is a huge civil contracting company around here. And I was on their site side, so like doing demo, like I demoed the Frankfurt Arsenal.
Oh wow!
I was on that crew that was around while they were doing that. So I did that for like a season, and I got laid off in the winter, which is like an industry kind of standard.
Standard.
Laid off now, so which is nice. Nice little break. And then I still, it's like I have this job that's like a great paying job, union benefits, blah blah blah. But then like still in the back of my mind, I was like, no, George, no. Like you gotta follow like this art path somehow. You gotta give it one last chance. So then I quit that job. It was funny because, well, my professor from Arcadia, Greg Moore, he had reached out and he's like, hey, George, he's like, I'm going on sabbatical. I have a guy coming in. And then also the edition's finished. We're getting all these new kilns. He's like, where do you find yourself? He's like, I really like someone familiar with the program to come in and like operate all the kilns and like help out with the intermediate professor or the interim professor and stuff like that. And I was like, light bulb, like perfect opportunity. Like I really want to like try to get into a grad program. I can access the studio and, build on my portfolio and things like that. So I did that. And then from there, then I went to the Syracuse for a post-bac, which is like a thing in fine arts.
Okay.
It's like between undergrad and grad school. It's like another year to actually focus on your portfolio, make other connections, things like that. And there I was like immersed in with the grad program there, which is like a really big program. And it was at the same time that the Orange Men had who's the guy the Sixers drafted and they got rid of him like a year later?
MCW.
Yeah. Michael Carter Williams is there and that dude Christmas and stuff like that. And I remember they lost
Christmas.
like in the Final Four or something. I remember when the bus came back, so with Jim Boeheim and stuff, and everyone's like sitting out there cheering for him. Still, it was pretty cool. It's like who the hell finds themselves in a place like that where it's like, you come from like a sports family background, and like, the Eagles had like McNabb from Syracuse, and then like you're up there now, and then it's like the Orange men's basketball team is like hot, and it's like,
yeah,
right.
What was that like coming from from Wissahickon, which is a very small school, to Monco, to Arcadia, all very small, to then to Syracuse?
Well, luckily I was just like going there just to focus with people in the art program, so it was kind of small.
Okay.
But the campus was huge, and the city was like a post-industrial city, which I'd never experienced. So it'd be like going to Buffalo or Rochester or something like that, which I've gone to those cities as well, and they're fun to visit, man. I guess it's like Pittsburgh, which I'm embarrassed to say I still have yet to visit a city that's like 5 hours away from us. But,
oh man, we should go to Pittsburgh sometime. They treat me like
I'd like to. My wife has friends that live there and a cousin that lives there, so we have the opportunity to do it. We just
let me tell you,
yeah.
Go with me to Pittsburgh. You don't pay for a thing. They treat me like I'm God. They think I'm Franco Harris.
Oh no shit! Yeah, there you go.
I mean, like legit. Like
that is awesome.
Little kids coming up to you in the elevator, like Mr. Oh, you're not him.
You do look. I never thought that. I
never a lot.
I never actually, put two and two together. But yeah, you should rock some like Steelers gear one. They get like that. I love those Bumblebee jerseys they have, or the jailbreak jerseys. What do they call them?
So they call Bumblebee. I can't be a.
Is it Bumblebee or jailbreak? Do they call them the jailbreak?
Jailbreak. I got a buddy that would know all this, but I can't be one of those guys.
I like the Steelers though. I don't know. Even though I'm a Raiders fan, the Immaculate Reception hit the ground. I do like Franco Harris as well, because he was what? He was mixed. He was like Italian and African American.
Yeah.
Cool, like awesome football player, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, legendary. Hall of Famer.
Yeah. Hall of Fame for sure.
So then,
where
did you go from Syracuse? You went to that when you get to Nebraska?
So when I went back to Arcadia to be the kiln tech and stuff like that, while the professor is on sabbatical, is when I met my wife.
Oh,
right out of the story, right?
Yeah, you said it was at Arcadia. I assumed it was when you were taking classes.
No, so I was. I'm 7 years older than her.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was all legit. Like I was never responsible for her grade or anything like that. I was just a studio tech. But so my first semester back there as the studio tech, she was, because they had like the big study abroad program there. Well, Lizzie brought that up.
Mm-hmm.
She went there to study abroad through them, I think, right? Didn't you met something like that? So for a while, I think they were ranked like 1 or 2 in the nation for studying abroad. I don't know if they still are. This is back in like 2011 or 12ish.
Okay.
Now, something like that. So I'm just there like within the program, like doing stuff, teacher assisting, firing all the kilns, fixing all the clay, cleaning up, doing this, had my own little studio space, making work, participating in like all the department critiques with like the other disciplines, things like that. Trying to take in as much as I can again, take advantage of the opportunity.
Yeah.
And then so then next semester comes around, and then there's this girl in the program. She's a senior. Her name's Jenny Clay. She's from Pottstown, PA. It's hilarious, right? So
she grew up on Kiln Drive.
Yeah, I know, right? That would have been. Did you hear that one? She's laughing. Kiln Drive. I never even thought of that. That's good. So yeah, so I don't know, like I'm just there on the tech, so she's a senior and she's coming back from a whole semester studying abroad in Korea at I guess it was Iwa, it's like their women's university for ceramics, because Asian, I mean, they always have a focus on that. It's like a big industry there still.
Okay.
So she goes back, she's getting situated for her thesis year or thesis semester. And then, you see a new girl, right? You just try talking to her as best or as worst, horrible as I could, I guess. I don't even know how this all plays out, but it's hilarious. So she, I guess she had a boyfriend, whatever. She just said turned 21. So I remember like coming. She said she was going home for the weekend. They were going out to Boston for her birthday and stuff like that. And I guess, I don't know if that's where her boyfriend lived or whatever. I don't know. So then she gets back, a couple more weeks or months go by, and I'm just like, friends with her, kind of, acquaintances in the studio, I guess. And then I start shit like this. AIM, bringing back Instant Messenger. Nobody's brought that up on your podcast. Maybe it has. But not enough.
No.
What a classic.
So you asked for a screening and then you put. So had you dated? Like you didn't date at all in high school, right?
Nah, hell no. No. I had no interest in it either. Like, well, but before high school, we never like really dated anyone. But like you would always say like you're together or like whatever with other girls. But it was terrible. I always had like a secret crush on the girl who lived across the street from me, which I haven't brought up this family yet. They were an awesome family. And I was also really good friends with them. Remember Jenna Ferrantino?
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
No.
And then, but like dating now, like I was always so bashful. I don't know. Even though like there was like girl, you're like, oh yeah. But like
you dated in college. Like I remember, you had girlfriends and people that you dated.
Not many. Like not a lot.
You had more than me. Like I'd met girls that you were dating. You never met any girl I was dating.
I don't know. Yeah. But so yeah, I mean we lived very similar lives in that fashion, I think. Just like just shy.
And
I always thought like, if they had any interest in you, they like, come to you, I guess, in a way or whatever. But never really try to like approach girls and see. But I was too shy to do that.
But you approached Jenny.
Yeah. How'd this all happen again? She's just laughing. So I guess, I don't know, she had just broken up with her boyfriend. So I just started like smooth talking on instant messenger, not like really smooth talking, but just like being friendly, like, oh yeah, like, hey, what's going on? Like, what kind of music do you like? Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And then eventually, I don't know, it got to a point where I guess she was like broken up with this guy for like a week or two, and then it was like, I gave her 3 weeks. She said, "There you go." The rest was history. Yeah, I think I was like, yo, I'm gonna go up to what the hell's the bent elbow called again right now? McGurk's.
McGurk's.
Like, I'm gonna go up to McGurk's. Or were you going to McGurk's? Either way, anyway, we ended up at McGurk's. It was like around St. Patty's Day
Oh yeah.
weekend, but it was like it was during the week. That was a weekday, so it wasn't crazy. And I remember like Phil and like
March
Neil,
Madness probably.
yeah, Andrew Platt, like they all came down. We were just hanging out. I guess a couple of her college friends also came up. And it was just cool. We were just hanging out. And then I drove her back down to Arcadia and stuff. And then just like snowball, like from there, it's just like, yeah, I just started hanging out more and going out. I asked her if she liked breakfast food. She's like, yes. And then I took her to Zake's Cakes on
Oh yeah.
down there.
Yep.
And for Washington. Yeah, I just started like hitting up all the good dining spots. Our actual first date, I believe, was at Saffron, the Indian restaurant in Ambler.
Yeah.
Fantastic food. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Then we just discovered that we like a lot of the same foods and stuff like that.
And so you guys have similar interests.
Yeah.
Of course. So
Yeah.
So then at what point then when you're moving to Nebraska, you guys are going together? So did you just go to Nebraska because she got in?
Yeah, so I moved out there with her. Yeah, we drove straight from like the Albany, New York area, all the way out to Lincoln, Nebraska on one.
So you weren't. I thought you were in school out there. You weren't in school out there.
No, Jenny was.
Oh.
Yeah. But I hung out and did some stuff for the program, like, you know, for exchange. I was making some work, and I helped rebuild a couple bag walls and kilns, and then I was able to fire my work and then put together a portfolio for grad school. And then following that year, I got into grad school at Illinois State University. So then from Nebraska, we stayed out in the Midwest. Came back and visited for a little bit, but then, went back out there, and that was a 3-year program. So then we were there until 2017.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 14, 17.
Link up every time I
go. Yeah, because I saw that you were traveling to Chicago, but it's still 2 hours away, and like it was always around when we had grad crits. And it's like, oh man.
Yeah. So what's it like living like in the burbs your whole life and then going to the Midwest? How'd that feel?
Yeah, well, I guess we had Nebraska as the buffer for actually like living in the Midwest. It was weird. Talk about cold, man. Negative 21 degrees. Icicles developing on the inside of your apartment window.
Yeah.
Walk outside and your like nose hairs just freeze up.
Wow.
Yeah. But other than that, I mean, you're meeting people from all over the place because it's a university, so it's not all that bizarre.
Yeah, it's not secluded.
Midwest cities are a lot different than they are here because they're a little more seedy. Like there's like pockets of bad areas, whereas like, a whole section's bad.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain, I guess, but like we lived in this like I don't know, like quadplex apartment thingy on K Street. I don't know, in Nebraska. I forget now. But there was this awesome little Mexican food truck thing that I would frequent. It's phenomenal. But we would see just like random like domestic dispute, like people like fighting out in the streets and shit. It's like, but like it never really migrated to like our apartment complex. It was always just like its thing, and that was it.
Sounds like just typical slice of Americana.
Yeah. In a way, I guess.
Was it hard after your dad had died? Was it hard to leave your home? Your home, like so much of your adult life at that point. And then your dad passes. your mom, your brother are home, was it hard to go away at that point?
It wasn't hard, but I felt guilty, I guess, in a way. Yeah, I think it was easier. I don't like. Yeah, I don't know. It was just like, yeah, let me like, here's the time to just to get out, like, see what's going on elsewhere.
Yeah. It's, you know, our whole group, I feel like we're the only, I feel like of you, me, Scott, Josh, Alyssa, Tony, we're the only two to leave the area, leave the
Yeah, right.
leave the state, leave the town, like outside of college, like Alyssa went to Kutztown, but like leave the whole area, and not return.
Yeah.
What do you think that's about?
I don't know. Like, sometimes I wish I would have went to school for like sociology, because there's like a lot of different fascinating like theories on stuff like that, like class capital. Like, you only become like what, like, yeah, it's hard to achieve outside the realm of like what you grew up in.
Before you knew the idea of like, I want to get out, was ever just like, fuck, it's like the same 17 people, you know what I mean? Like, the world is small in the bird. And I relate to what I was talking about before, as far as like, we're the only two to like really leave. And I used to like look at it and just like, it just felt, it felt so small. Did it feel small then to you?
When I first started like thinking about leaving.
Before, like, just growing,
Like,
you grew up in that, and you know,
well, that's a great, like, this podcast, right? We weren't friends in high school, so like, when you're involved in high school, those 4 years, you think it's like the end all be all, right? It's really bizarre feeling, and then you know, you leave that little shell of like 300 and some people that like you barely even know, see, or hang out with, but yet you're part of that community in some sense, right? So it's like, that's where you go every day for 8 hours. So it's like work. It's like you go to the same office for 8 hours, and it's like, and you end up with shows like The Office. It's like cynical about it, right? So,
yes.
no, because like, I don't know. I always thought like my group of friends were always interesting enough. Like you, like, I wish I probably we should have hung out more than we ever did, because we both have like these expanded focuses, I guess, or whatever you want to call them. But even though like my guys, like all my friends that stay local, work local, do this, I mean, they're still like fun. Like I always loved coming back to like hang out with them again. And then even still, like living in Pottstown, and now with COVID, it's like it's sad. Like, I wish I could just go down and like hang out at Fireside with Mike Penna, Andrew Pileggi, Mike Malazzi, Scott Mastromato, or like, but then on the flip side of that, like, you know, I kind of like separated a little bit from Josh and Alyssa from the time period, but then like now I see and talk to Josh more than I've had, you know, in the past 3 years. I've, you know, seen and talked to him more than I have in like the previous 10,
Yeah.
like high school or something, which is cool. Like, you always, I guess you never lose your like true friends, like whoever they may be or are. I never get bored, even though like we're bored together. Like some days, like, I don't know, I can remember sitting at Scott Mastromato's house, just like sitting there, bored as fuck. Get like a 30-pack of Miller Lite, start drinking it, and who knows where the night leads from there, right? Maybe just stay and sit at home and watch like college football, like Hawaii, like some Mountain West college playing at like 10 o'clock at night, and like that's what you do. And then you watch Jay Leno, and then you go home at like 3 a.m. and then sleep till 10, and then do it all over again. But there's always a way to, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Like, that, to answer your question, no. Like, I never was like, oh man, like that's why I got to get out of here, is because these guys are boring. No, it wasn't that at all. It was just, you know, maybe my parents appropriately named me. I'm just like curious. Like, I want to, like, I always thought it, like, I always thought I would like land a job like in, I don't know, Idaho, like teaching at the University of Idaho or something. That'd be cool, right? But maybe not. Who knows?
What would you have been teaching?
Well, I just think like, as I was like focusing, like chasing this thing, like the master's in fine arts, because that's a terminal degree. So then you are eligible to teach at a university. And it's like, yeah, like wouldn't it be cool to like teach for like 10 years, like somewhere where nobody in your town or family's been? So that way you think, like in a romantic sense, you're like, oh yeah, everybody would come visit me, but like that doesn't happen.
I was going to ask you, like, as far as music, because I remember you being so into like, right? But then also,
Still in, but yeah.
but then also, I remember, in your Suburban that was hooked up, or your Tahoe that was hooked up, listening to the 10 Crack Commandments.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And also, funny little story. You burned me my first copy of Jay-Z's Blueprint 2, Gift and the Curse.
I'm gonna
And
listen to that one tomorrow.
And it was right before Thanksgiving, because I listened to it on my flight to California for Thanksgiving, and you fucked up the disc. I've been waiting 20 years to tell you this. You fucked up the disc. You labeled the gift album. You labeled the gift disc as the curse, and the curse is the gift. So I had discs 1 and 2 all screwed up, and the very first track of the first disc cuts off in like the final 4 seconds. Literally, George, for like the next 9 years of my life, I never knew what the end of track 1. I never knew how it ended until I re-downloaded it.
Oh man.
But you gave me these these burned CDs of, you're like, oh, I've got the gift in the curse. I got it. I'll burn it for you. I was like, great, I can put it in my Discman for my flight tomorrow.
Boy, I wish I had that awareness then, because that would have been the best, like longest running prank ever, huh? I can't take credit for it, but
forever, yeah, I had the disc that had the gift and the curse disc screwed up.
Yeah, I like Jay-Z's like earlier stuff. I guess that was probably the last album but Phil probably bought it. I burned it from him. Yeah.
That makes sense.
So
what kind of music were you? I mean, you mentioned reggae.
Yeah, that was the household music. That's what my dad listened to, like through and through.
But as you know, it was probably when I became like 11, 12 is when like I started developing my own taste in music. So what did you like venture outside of that? Well, obviously, because
I like all kinds of music. I was glued to MTV back then, man, from being like 10 until like it really started to lose focus on music.
Did you have a favorite, like in high school era, like that 96 to 01 or 97 to 01? Did you have a favorite?
Artist? 96?
Well, that high school era, from when you're like a teenager, did you have like a band or a song or an artist that you were like, oh, this is my, like for me, it was very much like Eminem for a lot of.
Oh yeah, definitely Eminem. Hell yeah. That was the biggest thing in the world, man. Like the age we were turning when he came out. Holy shit.
Oh yeah.
I remember DMX's first album. I bought that CD.
It's Dark and Hell is Hot.
Yep. Actually, I drew that album cover again in one of those classes that we took, like computer-aided, like design classes.
That's awesome. Album art back in our day was like awesome.
Oh, I was so into it. That's why I had like even now, like tall format microbreweries. Like if it's not recommended from someone and I'm just like scanning through, I'll just buy whatever can appeals to me, like I would like jewel cases did. Yeah.
I do the same thing. I don't drink beer. Like I don't know beer very well. So I literally do it by like, and wine, I do it by name and label.
Yeah, that one you had the other day was cool.
I don't remember what it was. Oh, the whiskey.
From the distillery out near me.
It was whiskey, or it was bourbon, wasn't it?
Yeah. I forget what it was. But anyway, but yeah, music. Because my older cousin Rick, he was in the band with Mooney back in the day. They graduated high school in '95. They actually played like the Warped Tour and stuff like that. So new metal, I'll always have a soft spot for new metal, reggae, classic rock like Pink Floyd. My grandfather used to listen to the Dark Side of the Moon on vinyl.
So then when did you and Jenny get married?
when I graduated grad school, we moved back. We wanted to be back in the area. Bought a house in Pottstown. It was way more affordable than Ambler or anywhere else at the time. So like 2017, we bought the house in September and we got married that November.
Wow.
Yep. Well, this March coming up, we would be 10 years, or was it 10 years?
Wow.
Yeah. Not married, just together for 10 years. Married
really?
for 3.
Are you not? Wait. Oh, okay. But you are married.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Like 3 years married, 10 years all together.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's so funny when like, you know, when you feel like you're like on par with friends, and it's like at that time, Josh was the only one. Josh and Alyssa had been together forever. Yeah. So when they got married and all that, it was like, oh, well, whatever, you know. None of
knew it was going to happen. Yeah.
None of us were dating in high school. So so them getting married is like no big deal. But now I'm the last one of the group. Yeah. Did you have you know, obviously we have the Scarface connection, and I know you love The Godfather, but in high school, did you have a high school movie that you were in?
We getting to the end of the podcast already?
It's not the end. It's just it's a middle.
These are like the questions you usually ask at the end. I was like, man, he's bored of me already. He's like hanging up.
No, I'm just trying. I try to mix it up.
Yeah, that's cool. Oh yeah, like high school movie. Holy shit! So 99. What was it? What would we say? Like 98 to 01, right?
97.
But I had to watch it while we were in high school, or one that I like now, and I'm like, damn, that came out when I was in high school.
No, in high school, like what?
Yeah. Okay.
You know, like I loved Armageddon. I loved Clueless. I loved Can't Hardly Wait.
Oh, Bonnie Lag or what's her name? Lainey Boggs, right?
Oh, She's All That.
Oh, She's All That. That was good. See, that's the type of chick I always thought that I would just like stumble upon, like that type of like
Rachel Lee Cook.
Well, no, like just like the character, like where she's like in the basement painting, and then it becomes like the cool chick because she goes to the prom with the cool dude. I don't know.
You don't know she's really hot.
But I always like those people before their transition.
And you don't know she's hot until beach day.
And to stay. What's that?
You don't know she's hot until beach day.
Yeah.
When she takes off the overalls.
Oh, I got it. Gladiator. I remember Mr. Dixon coming in all fired up, like, you gotta watch Gladiator. That movie is awesome. Yeah, that's a good. There you go, Gladiator. I still like that movie. Hell yeah.
Okay, that's an epic classic.
Yeah.
That era.
I remember being in a class with Danny Capalella and Mike Brown.
Oh yeah.
And it was like we made we would wire up like a lamp, like do like weird different projects, like where test the tensile strength of a bridge. It was cool. I forget. I don't know what the hell the course was called, but I remember Mr. Dixon coming in all excited, like, "Oh my God, you guys gotta watch Gladiator!" And it was like around the same time, like I think Vince Carter, like the dunk like fucking blew everybody's mind in the dunk contest and shit. Yeah. Then like 99, the 99.
That was 99.
Yeah. That's it.
So when you came back, was you talked about like having this just like a legitimate passion for manual labor and doing stuff with your hands, but then you've also gone through a lot of school and you end up with a master's degree.
Yes.
So was there a part of you that was like, I want to do something with art as a career when you came back?
Yeah. There was and still is. Like I would like to teach. I used to think I would want to teach at a university level. But now, like anymore with anything, schooling right now just sounds like a nightmare. I don't think I would ever want to get involved. But even politically, it's like just seems kind of ridiculous and like out of the realm of like reality anyway. like just like overarching parenting or parents getting involved and like say like like you can't really like discipline people, like not in like a normal disciplinary way. It's just like, so a kid doesn't show up and do his work, and like the lowest grade you can technically give him now is like a C or something. So
Oh
it's
wow,
like,
really? There's
I
like
don't know how true that is. It just seems that way from the outside. It's like,
the bureaucracy and
yeah.
yeah, I get it.
There's too much leniency, I feel like.
So teaching, while the actual act of it will always seem appealing, it's
Yeah.
the other stuff that seems unfun for you.
Yeah, that night, and like say like my stage presence. I don't know. I still get real nervous. Like I'm not like a clear public speaker, obviously. Like how choppy does this podcast probably seem or sound, right? I just like go off on like tangents. All the time.
Everyone does. Have you heard Rhiannon's episode?
Yes. Yeah. And it's fun. Like I guess that is kind of comforting in a way. Like people that we always perceive to be like super smart, like even Lizzie, which she is, but like she even talks about like how nervous she gets in front of like people public speaking, and even though like she knows like she should have the confidence, but
she credits sports with helping break her out of her shell.
Yeah, so which is awesome. Like she found that, and that's what I credit, like beer drinking and like being a laborer, like having like something that
talking shit.
Where you're well, like being like there's an attitude behind being a laborer. Like I when I show up to work somewhere, like I don't look like the type of guy that you think of as like a guy who just wants to shovel and rake blacktop all day, right?
Right.
But I am, and I perform that like very well.
That's so wild to hear you like categorize it that way.
It's funny, like even
yeah, that it's like you just like doing manual shit. Like it's
you know what it is? Because I used to be like a runt. Like I was like a real scrawny kid that weighed 105 pounds, and then never went to the gym or anything, and then just really like took on this persona of being a laborer. And like that's how my dad was. My dad, well, he did go to the gym and train, and then actually won second place in a bodybuilding contest in the early 90s.
I remember those pictures. Yes. Yeah. Oh my god. I fucking remember those pictures.
But I had like and then you know how jacked my brother is, right?
Yeah.
But like he goes to the gym, and I don't have that discipline or focus to do that. Like every time I've ever tried to lift weights, I just start giggling. Like I can't keep a straight face. So there's something about the physicality of being a laborer, and then how it defines my body. Like if I like labored, I don't know, since I was 13 years old, I'm now 37. I'm slowly losing some of it now, my muscle mass. Yeah. But there's been times like where I show up somewhere and people are like, "Damn, dude, you've been going to the gym?" Nah, man, just shovel rake, drink beer. Like I love that. I don't know. But that's me. Like I don't know.
But that really is, how we grew up. That's the Ambler way.
Yeah, and if you want to get all philosophical about it or something, like if you like the etymology of my name, George, is like an old English term for like tiller of the earth or something. It's kind of cool, right?
Yeah, like you talked about when you talk about like your love of clay and pottery, like specifically you talk about like it's like part of the earth. So
yeah.
But
yeah,
even
love digging trenches and shit and stuff like that.
Even like the blue collar, lifestyle, growing up again, my best friends were Mike Mayall and Ray Campion, and both their dads were construction.
Oh, is that what Mr. Mayall did?
Yeah.
Doesn't Mike own his own like tow trucking company or something in Florida? Or what? I forget what Mr. Campion was telling me.
He does, I think. He might. I don't know. I talk to him once in a while. I haven't talked to him in a while, but I see like a lot of fishing pictures on his Instagram.
Nice.
Yeah, I think it is a tow. I think it is like I want to say it's boat towing.
Oh, that makes sense then. If he's in, yeah, that's probably a really good profession.
But if I'm wrong, I'm willing to bet he will let me know.
You're gonna get him on this? Can you? Will you? Because he wasn't in high school with us really What year? You left
He
in ninth grade?
he even messaged me to tell me that he left. I think he left in 10th grade.
10. Yeah, because I kind of remember. No, I remember him.
Listen, you're the first friend. You're trying to book more friends.
Nah. Yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, come on. There's only who was in our graduating class?
300 some.
Show's got a little longer than that, right?
300.
I don't know.
I've been going. This show's been going for a little over a year.
You're gonna be graying like Santa Claus by the time.
I'm up to 36 episodes.
That's still that's a lot. That's good.
The 300.
Yeah, you'll never make it. Like teachers and shit. By the way, who's that band teacher?
Mr. Hood.
Yeah, I didn't know him. I did end up friending him on Facebook and stuff. But damn, what a cool dude! I wish I would have known him in high school.
Right?
Yeah.
So you friended him after the podcast.
Oh, yeah, fascinating story.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're the type of person like a couple of friends that are just big music heads and jazz people and stuff. I was like, yo, I feel like you would like this podcast. Like he is the type of guy that says he says like cool cat and like jive and like.
Well, that's like the old juke joint. Like that's like the lingo. Like Jaco Pastorius always like refers to people as cats and shit. Like
but he also talked about the Philly shit, right? I forgot the Philly soul, all of his connections and like stylistics and
style. Yeah,
I remember you hit me up about that. Like, yo, this dude, yeah. How fun was that? That was cool, right?
It's awesome. He told Gwen Stefani to stop smoking
cigarettes. I'm hoping she hears that story one day. I'm praying she finds this and hears that story one day. I thought that was so cool.
But what an interesting path in life, like the military background and this and that, and how he bounced around with that with linguistics and whatnot, and then his interview at the high school. It's like what? Yeah, so like being a laborer and everything, I found myself in this position where I'm a quality control field technician, so I extract samples for compaction and loose material samples that all get tested and confirmed at labs. And the way the paving industry works, it's like that's what like a lot of the payments based off of through the state. So there's like the 3-party system. So you have the contractor, which I'm part of I work for the contractor, so I'm like a liaison with the consultant or inspector, which are almost one and the same. And then there's the state. So that it's like, checks and balances on, material payment, like the whole process, like to make sure that the specific depth is being laid and this and that, and we're achieving compaction. I can confirm that. And then all the results are confirmed. And then you can get like MPA, you can get up to a 4% bonus depending on like your consistency with compaction. So I kind of manage and control that with my roller guys. So it's kind of fascinating. And there's like an understanding of material involved, which is kind of similar to ceramics, because it's getting binders and things like that, and you have the asphalt content, which is an oil-based or petroleum-based substance. So yeah, so it's like I related to just like wanting to like know and grasp or think about material that way, and then also like paving is like one of the cool like industries in labor where like you can nail up a 2x4 and do this and do that, but like it doesn't really leave too much of like the human evidence behind. Like with paving, like if the paver comes in because of the grade of the road matching a driveway, like I'm the guy who has to cut all that material out and kind of like reprofile that part of the road, and then it's like it's kind of scarred in a way because you're cutting the material, so it's not as smooth as the paver. So you leave like these signs of like human like touch still behind, and like an overarching layers. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Putting layers on the earth.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's one way to look at it. Right. Yeah, back to the earth, right? I mean, it is cool, like the way you think of like strata.
Yeah.
You know, like the way
I'm not joking. I'm being serious about it. I mean, it is like, it is full circle in that way.
Yeah, the way roads are built, you know, you have bigger aggregate, thicker lifts, and then it kind of stratifies up until the top layers of, you know, flexible material that is designed to last like 30 years and then get milled off and then reapplied without much damage to the substructure. Kind of a cool technology. Is it foolproof? Who knows? No, probably not, because of like climate change, like everything.
Right.
So depending on where you're at, like we have towns called Spring House. So like no matter what you
do you have like an overall, I get the feeling that you're not you haven't finalized what you want to do.
Yeah, right. No, I haven't. So
Do you have like a dream, pie in the sky, like if everything went perfect in 10 years, here's what I would be doing?
kind of, yeah. I have two of those dreams. You know, like one, I would just love to be like a peasant potter, like
Yeah.
the town potter.
Yeah.
Which it doesn't quite exist anymore because we rely so much on plasticware and things like that. But it's still, I mean, there's obviously like a renaissance or resurgence of like handmade craft. We see it all over, and we see like even like the corporate markets like trying to mimic it, which is pathetic. But you know, maybe if that's what makes people aware of it, then maybe they will, you know, learn like what's valuable and what's not. So slowly converting my garage into a studio with my wife, who's also a ceramic artist or potter. There's that, but like like right now I'm a laborer. I work for, you know, a big civil construction company. But my other like dream job is like kind of like what my dad did, like being like a foreman, roadmaster, or public works director, because it's like, you know, it's local government. It's more of a service job. Like I like the service aspect of things a lot. I don't. Yeah, it's like very draining to work for corporation, that kind of thing.
Don't I know it?
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. So, and I like blacktop, and I kind of like the way like roads are a form of like communication, like in a way like it's what gets humans to like come together. There's a network of it, like the history of it with like was it Eisenhower, and then like the mobilization of like military equipment during the World War and stuff like that, and that's like where paving really started to like take off. And it's kind of cool how it became like this way of interconnection too, from state to state and whatnot. So there's like community aspect behind it as well, which is a lot of what like ceramics is too. It's like, you know, it's service, like utility and community. I like having responsibility though. Like I kind of want to like grow and like manage like some, you know, I like being a laborer, but with responsibility, like achieving something more to make more of a living, I guess.
Then what?
To make more of a living, only because it's like there's things that I want that I can't quite afford, like kilns and shit, stuff like that.
Right.
All that. The kiln I want is like I don't know, $5,500 or something, and that's not even firing it. Like who knows how much electric it draws? It might be like $30 of firing that gets tacked onto my electric bill every month. I don't know.
Well, do you think it'll be something that you'll keep doing, or do you think it's something that it'll kind of start to die off as you continue on with manual labor?
Yeah, no, I want to like marry the two of them. It's just like, yeah, I bought the house. Like maybe I cornered myself. Like I always have a tendency to like corner myself. So I bought a house, so now I have a mortgage. You know, I still have stupid student loans that drive me up the fucking wall. Which I feel like if I didn't have those, I'd feel like a millionaire. Right? So like what I pay a month in student loans could be like feeding my studio practice for sure.
Oh my god.
What, right? That's like the
Isn't
yeah.
it amazing how much we look at how much money you spend when you have to?
Oh, I know. Well, that's like I said, like I don't know if I was like because of the time we graduated high school and like how they marketed college and this and that and like what you perceived of your family and like how they worked and like how you didn't want to continue that. Which now I feel like such an asshole. Like I wish I would have just like did what my grandfather and my dad did.
Well, let me ask you this, right? Looking how you spent, your first 7 to 8 years out of high school, and
Yeah.
knowing how you grew up, the history of your family, your dad, your friends, not just in school with our group, but your friends in Ambler, and how everyone is still in the area. But
Yeah.
then looking at what you discovered once you were able to leave and how that was something that you valued, being able to have different experiences. Had you not done that, had you said, like you said, tech school,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like that's the
where do
thing.
you think, I mean, in all honesty, I can tell you right now where I think, where do you think you would be right here, right now, doing this podcast if you went to tech school?
Probably work like one of my like I wish I would have just stayed working with Josh. Maybe I'd be like one of the top technicians at LIP Collision right now. I don't know. Because it has like you carry some of that artistic sensibility, but also you're like mechanically inclined and it's physical labor in a way. Like that's where Josh like I remember that painting like he painted that deer mural on his bedroom wall in high school, like when he was younger. Like his mom was always good at painting and drawing as well. Like he kind of found like what worked best like with him, like with his interests.
But my point to that is that you hadn't really discovered your love for pottery at that point. So had you gone to tech school, you would have missed this entire 12-year run of art.
Oh yeah, like that part.
You'd be living in Ambler.
Yep, I'd probably be in jail. Who knows, right? I don't fucking know. No, I just laugh. I like to like.
But no, you would, and the work, you'd still be satisfied with work because you still do similar work today, and you've consistently gone back to that type of work throughout your life, even in between school and art and all that. But you'd probably be in Ambler still. You would have never left this entire, you left in 2009, this 11 years. Yeah. You would have still been in the same neighborhood, same town, not having those expansive experiences that we just spent all this time talking about.
No, I know. Yeah. Like, and that's the part I do not regret. Like that's all priceless. Right. So the funny thing is actually, as you were saying this, I started like thinking like, yeah, like maybe I wouldn't find the same appreciation or pride in being a laborer if I didn't have that other sense of achievement or something. Like it's definitely like a different reflection on life when you branch out and come back to it, which is something that I think is missing in like general education through like the natural progression of public school or whatever system of 1st through 12th grade anybody goes through, is that it's so linear and stupid the way things are taught that like you don't understand that like, oh, you should be forced to leave your parents' house when you're 18 and like get a grant and go travel Europe and then come back, and then maybe we'll have like a better labor industry again, because like it's just like a jobby job to a lot of people and there's no passion behind it. But like maybe if you have these external experiences, then you actually you learn to appreciate like other opportunities and like I don't even know how to explain any of that.
I don't think there's national pride in stuff like that. I think manual, and this is what how the podcast started very early in the first season with Daniel Capaldi, and how he ended up talking to Derek was because, we talk about like the tech school aura of that's where the stupid kids went because they wanted to get out halfway through the year. And
Yeah.
then when you look at just how America has progressed, and this is what I talked about with Danielle, I feel stupid that I don't know how to change my own brakes, that I've got to YouTube a million times how to change my own headlights, that I
Yeah.
don't feel comfortable changing my own oil, that if my air conditioner breaks, I gotta call. So, you know what I mean? Like all these things that I know I could have learned in high school that I wish I could fall back. If the economy tanked again, I don't have my fallback is making food, is making sandwiches, is you know what I mean? Like
That's good too. Like that's
sure,
that.
it's fine, but
Yeah.
it's not an industry to excel. My life would take an extreme hit versus, you know, Derek detailed how even going through the economic crash,
Yeah.
the real estate and all that, he got himself back up
Yeah.
on his own. He needed nothing and no one else other than his own skill set. I wouldn't be able to do that grinding at Wawa.
No. No. Well, that's.
I could if I wanted to be a store manager, but being a store manager is not my skill set. Making the sandwich, I can make a killer sandwich. I can cook, but
Yeah.
you know, coming in at that level is not. You can't get paid for your experience as like that as a as a
Yeah.
deli cook. So yeah, this is the point
Yeah.
in time that if we were face to face, I would ask you to sign the yearbook.
I
But,
probably did though, didn't I? No.
you did sign the yearbook.
I was gonna say. I figured.
So we'll go through this first. The outcome of your goal doesn't mean anything unless you put all your heart and mind into it.
That's my quote.
That's your quote.
What the fuck? Who's that from?
It doesn't say.
Read it again.
The outcome of your goal doesn't mean anything unless you put all your heart and mind into it.
Wow, where the fuck did I dig that one up?
Where did you get it?
Maybe I made it up. I don't even fucking know.
It's a quote.
You know what I love what my brother did. Genius. Stroke of genius. He quoted Joe Dirt. Life's a garden. Dig it.
He should have quoted you.
Yeah. Nah, I like what he did. That was fucking. I was like, damn, I wish I thought it like did something like that. It's awesome.
Phil should have said the outcome of your goal doesn't mean anything unless you put all your heart and mind into it. George Barreca.
That would have been hilarious.
And then
Who did I put any initials? What's my stack of initials?
not classmates though, but you've got. I want to thank my dad, mom, and the rest of my family, especially GMB.
Oh, that was my grandma Barreca, my dad's mom. She died when I was 3, but yeah. So
that was it.
Look at that picture. Holy shit.
Wait, my
Oh, Tom Beale's right under me. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, Tony. Yeah, Lindsay. What's it? Was it Karen Applebaum or what?
Karen Applebaum. You got to put me on.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Let's get in there.
Scott Beck, Emily Arnold. Yeah.
Yep.
So this is basically my homeroom, right?
Yeah. Andy Bell.
How that works?
Sean Benson, Ashley Bell, Charles.
Sean Benson. Yeah, he was cool as shit. Wasn't his I remember him saying like his brother was a running back in college, and I always thought it was like Cedric Benson who ended up playing for the Bengals, but I don't think it was.
Oh,
that would have been cool as fuck. What else we got? I gotta see.
Here we go. All right, here we go. Corbett. Hey yo.
Hey, yeah.
have fun over the summer. See you around, George B.
That's all I wrote.
That's it.
Probably the worst. How was the grammar? Like no punctuation or nothing?
Oh, you wrote Orbit, not Corbett. Orbit.
Did I?
Yeah, because I was Orbit. Yo, I'm Brad Corbett, and I'll take you into orbit. Everything was a rhyme back then for me. Everything was a rhyme.
Damn.
The Orbit Trader. Don't you remember the Orbit Trader?
Yeah, it's coming back. Yeah.
Total arbitration. Oh my God, I'm just remembering that.
I remember like Josh and Ritter. Yo, Buck.
Yo, Buckshot.
Yeah.
Yo, Knox.
Yeah, Knox.
Yo, Buckshot. Yo.
Oh my God.
All right. Well, we'll see what this is, George, when this all comes out. We've done this over like probably the span of like 7 hours together. We're getting close to Lizzie Black time. But I had a great time just having an excuse to see face to face. You are probably you're probably the person I talk to the most from high school on a regular basis throughout the last couple of years. So I appreciate, number one, I just appreciate, you appreciating friendship to be able to keeping texting contact with each other. But hopefully when this is all done now, we have just a little bit more closeness for an excuse to get face to face and see each other in person.
Yeah, no, I mean, I appreciate your consideration on bringing me on. I'm a fan of the show. I'll become do whatever I can to support you. So, yeah, sorry if my thought process is a little sporadic, but it should mesh together. I hope. I don't know.
This felt less like a show and more like we've just been hanging. So,
Yeah.
The onus is on me to turn this into a show.
Oh yeah, I'm curious to see the outcome.
Well, thanks for being the guinea pig.
Yeah. Hey. Look forward to the next episode.
Awesome.
Like it.